Dando's dogs and the devil. In the lovely village of St. Germains, there once lived a priest connected with the old priory church of this parish. His life does not appear to have been quite consistent with his vows. He lived the life of the traditional, jolly friar. He ate and drank of the best the land could give him, or that money could buy. It is said that his indulgences extended far beyond the ordinary limits of good living. The priest Dando was, despite all his many vices, a man liked by the people. He was good-natured and kind. This made him blind to many of their sins. Indeed, he threw a cloak over his own iniquities, which was inscribed charity, and he freely forgave all those who came to his confessional. As a man increases in years, he becomes more deeply dyed with the polluted waters through which he may have waded. It rarely happens that an old sinner is ever a repentant one, until the decay of nature has reduced him to a state of second childhood. As long as health allows him to enjoy the sensualities of life, he continues to gratify his passions, regardless of the cost. He becomes more selfish, and his own gratification is the rule of his existence. So it has ever been, and so was it with Dando. The sinful priest was an avid hunter, and scoured the country far and wide in pursuit of game, which was in those days abundant and varied over this well-wooded district. Dando, in the eagerness of the chase, paid no regard to any kind of property boundaries. Many a cornfield has been trampled down, and many a cottage garden has been destroyed by the horses and dogs which this impetuous hunter would lead unthinkingly over them. Curses deep, though not loud, would follow the old man, as even those who suffered by his excesses were still in fear of his priestly power. Any man may sell his soul to the devil without going through the stereotyped process of signing a deed written in his own blood. Give up your soul to Satan's darling sins, and he will help you for a season, until he has his claims carefully wound around you, when the links are suddenly closed, and he seizes his victim, who has no power to resist. Dando worshipped the sensual gods that he had created. His external worship of the God of truth became every year more and more a hypocritical lie. The devil looked carefully after his prize. Of course, to catch a dignitary of the church was a thing to cause rejoicings amongst the lost and forsaken. Dando was carefully lured to the undoing of his soul. Health and wealth were secured to him, and slowly but surely the measure of his sins was full, and he was left the victim to self-indulgences. A doomed man. With increasing years and the immunities he enjoyed, Dando became more and more reckless. His nights were consumed by wine and spiced ale, a table overflowing with rich dishes that tempted even the fullest appetite, and the company of men and women known for their indulgent and immoral behavior. His days were devoted to the pursuits of hunting, and to maintain the required excitement ardent drinks were supplied him by his wicked companions. It mattered not to Dando, provided the day was a lucky one. If the set would lie on the ground even on the Sabbath, horses and hounds were ordered out, and the priest would be seen in great enthusiasm. One Sabbath morning Dando and his riotous gang were hunting over the land. Game was plenty, and sport was first-rate. Exhausted with a long and eager run, Dando called for drink. He had already exhausted the flasks of the attendant hunters. "Someone give me a drink," he cried. "Where are we going to get it?" "We're all out," asked one of the gang. "Go to hell for it, if you can't get it in this life," said the priest, giving a bitter laugh at his own joke about the realities of earthly existence. At the moment, a dashing hunter, who had mingled with the throng unobserved, came forward and presented a richly mounted flask to Dando, saying, "Here is some choice liquor distilled in the establishment you speak of. It will warm and revive you. So drink deep, friend." Dando drank deep. The flask appeared to cling to his lips. The stranger hunter looked on with a rejoicing yet malignant expression, a wicked smile playing over an otherwise tranquil face. By and by Dando fetched a deep sigh and removed the flask, exclaiming, "That was a drink indeed. Do the gods drink such nectar?" "Devils do," said the hunter. "If they do, I wish I were one," said Dando, who now rocked to and fro in a state of thorough intoxication. "Methinks the drink is very like—" The blasphemous words faltered and were left unspoken. Looking around with a half-idiotic stare, Dando saw that his new friend had appropriated several head of game. Notwithstanding his stupid intoxication, his selfishness asserted its power, and he tried to seize the game, exclaiming, in a guttural, half-smothered voice, "None of these are yours. What I catch I keep," said the hunter in defiance. "They're mine," stammered Dando. The hunter quietly bowed. Dando's wrath burst at once into a burning flame, uncontrolled by reason. He rolled himself off his horse and rushed, staggering as he went, at the steed of his unknown friend, uttering most frightful oaths and curses. The strange hunter's horse was a splendid creature, black as night, and its eyes gleamed like the brightest stars with unnatural shine. The horse was turned expertly aside, and Dando fell to the earth with much force. The fall appeared to add to his fury, and he roared with rage. Aided by his attendants, he was speedily on his legs, and again at the side of the hunter, who shook with laughter, shaking the game, taunting him. Quietly he uttered, "They're mine. I'll go to hell after them, but I'll get them from you," shouted Dando. "So you shall indeed," said the hunter. He seized Dando by the collar and lifted him from the ground. He placed him, as though he were a child, in front of him on the horse. With a dash, the horse passed down the hill, its hoofs striking fire at every tread, and the dogs, barking furiously, followed impetuously. These strange riders reached the banks of the Linher, and with a terrific leap, the horse and its riders, followed by the hounds, went out far in its waters, disappearing at length in a blaze of fire. This caused the stream to boil for a moment, and then the waters flowed on as tranquilly as ever over the doomed priest. All this happened in the sight of the assembled peasantry. Dando nevermore was seen, and his fearful death was received as a warning by many, who gave gifts to the church. One amongst them carved a chair for the bishop, and on it he represented Dando and his dogs, so that the memory of his wickedness might be always renewed. There, in St. Jaimon's church, stands to this day the chair, and all who doubt the truth of this tradition may view the story carved in enduring oak. If they please, they can sit in the chair until their faith is so quickened that they become true believers. On Sunday mornings, early, the dogs of the priest have been often heard as if in eager pursuit of game. Cheney's hounds and the wish hounds of Dartmoor are but other versions of the same legend.